Oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to have to leave a little bit early today because I got to get over to the airport and pick up my wife's ex.
Jesus, kid, how the fuck did you draw that shit detail? Why do you want this deadbeat in your home?
Oh, it's not that I want him in my home. It's just, the better step-parenting books have said that it's really damaging to the child to push out the biological.
Listen, you're in the danger zone, Brad, and let me tell you why. Most of the hookups that I've had have been with girls that grew up without a father. And let me tell you what, they always end up with daddy issues.
This really doesn't seem like an appropriate conversation for work.
Well, that's okay. You need to hear this. So my wife would really kill me if she knew I was telling you this story.
Then you probably shouldn't tell it.
When we met in Denver...
Oh, so you're going to go ahead and tell it?
She was a topless maid. She was making $99 an hour, and she was just riddled with daddy issues. But who did she always come to? Me. And who was the one that, treated her like shit? Me. But eventually I loved her. But whenever she stepped out of line, I would just pull the Humvee over and politely ask her to get out. And then I'd drive away. But you know what? She would always end up coming back home.
I don't see how this is relevant to what I'm going through.
Oh, it's not at all. It's just a great story. So we're going to do this podcast or what? Yes.
Finally.
How many takes did that take?
Surprisingly, only 3.
Yes. We're on our way.
That we are.
Leo Holt, I think, makes this movie. And what movie is that? Because we did not announce it yet.
Yeah, no. I don't even know who Leo Holt is.
Leo Holt is Brad's boss's name.
Ah.
But we are doing Daddy's Home, if you hadn't figured it out yet. But semantics, I know.
Who cares?
I like to announce the movie because we do intros that don't actually say the name of the movie. So
I know, and it's for our illiterate clientele out there that can't read.
It's for the greater good.
Indeed.
It's for the listeners with daddy issues. So let's go ahead and jump into it. What is the standout scene for you?
I guess any scene with Leo Holt would be great. I think one of the funniest scenes, I believe the very first time that I saw it, I might have actually spit my drink out. But it's the scene when he's talking to Brad, and he was like, oh, my 4th wife. He was like, had a 20-year-old stepson that she wanted to live with us, and I was like, absolutely not. So he came to live with us anyway. And then when he's talking to him, and he was like, oh yeah, like a year later I come home, they're in bed together. And he was just like, he's like, I tried telling him this whole time, like, Armando, stop sleeping in the bed with your mom. Armando, get off the roids. It's just like every little thing that he had was just so funny. But when he sits there and he was like, oh yeah, no, bam, turns out wasn't even her son. They were actually boyfriend and girlfriend. He's like, who saw that coming? I didn't.
I did. Like 1 to 2 words into your story, I knew.
But then when he's like, can we just get back to work? And it pans out and shows the wide shot, and they're at a table.
Yeah, because it
with
shows
a bunch of other executives. Right. And then Brad's sitting there and he was like, London, are you still on the line?
Yeah, because they did a close-up shot where all you could see is Brad and Leo.
Yeah.
And they did it so perfectly that you have no clue that anybody else is in this room.
Yeah.
Because nobody's saying anything. Nobody's chiming in at all. But I really think that, the movie itself is great as a whole, and the dialogue back and forth between Brad and Mark Wahlberg's character, Dusty, is so good. But Leo Holt's parts stand out for me as well as some of the best moments in this film.
Yeah, and the actor's real name is Thomas Hayden Church, and I knew him growing up watching the TV show Wings. He played Lowell, the kind of idiotic plane mechanic, but I never knew exactly how funny he was until this role.
Yeah, he's got that uncanny knack to just talk so dryly.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. And I don't know, maybe behind the scenes there are outtakes where he loses it, but
see, and I would love to see the outtakes because to me he kind of seems like he wouldn't be the one that breaks, but
Right.
everybody else would.
Correct. I would think that too. Yeah, but I mean, you never know. Maybe
Yeah.
he's just good at, like, when he's able to maintain his composure, he just really nails it.
And I mean, and it's possible that it maybe from his sitcom life, that's what kind of honed it for him to be able to give such a, I guess it would be like a dry delivery to where it's just like, I mean, you don't think it's funny or you think it's funny, but you know, he's just being so serious about it. You know, the scene where he comes in, and we were just talking about it right before we went on air, is when he comes in and he was like, Brad, if you see Dusty later, here's his paycheck. Full disclosure, it's more than you make. He's like, and tell Dusty, dinner at 8:30 tonight. Don't be late.
But I've never been to your home.
No, you haven't, Brad. Just walks off.
And the one thing that I noticed about this movie is it's a similar character for Will Ferrell, where he's playing more of the straight man. He's not doing his obnoxious physical comedy. There are moments like the time where he got drunk at the basketball game. And he's
so funny.
Being stupid.
I love my kids.
Yeah.
He's like,
And
Dylan and Megan and Sarah and Dylan.
If anybody tries to hurt one of them, I don't remember what he even said.
He was like, I would physically hurt them. But then when he's pointing, he's like, he's trying to take my kids away from me.
He's trying to ruin my family.
Yeah, he's like, and you know what? He was like, last night while you were asleep, he's like, we had sex. He's like, that's right. She just zipped my pants and started playing with my wiener.
All right, champ, why don't you go ahead and sit the next couple of rounds out? But what I was getting at is he does play more of a straight man, normal character for him, and you initially feel like he's going to be the just super timid, I'm always going to back down from a fight. And yes, he does avoid conflict whenever possible.
Yeah.
But he's got this odd relationship with his boss where his boss is doing whatever he can to make Brad like him.
Right.
But then he'll switch it up and you'll have moments like that where it's like, well, he's never invited Brad over for dinner. So it's like, it's almost like this ongoing thing.
Yeah.
It's like, who's portraying that they want to be friends more, you know?
Yeah.
And it just alters. And it's just that dynamic is funny to me.
Well, even like he goes to the airport and picks up Dusty, and I can't remember exactly what Brad
to pick up Dusty.
Yeah. I cannot think for the life of me exactly what Brad said, but when you see Dusty's character for the first time, played by Mark Wahlberg, wearing the boots and the jeans and the T-shirt with the leather jacket and everything, he just comes and thunderstruck by AC/DC. He was like, I think he's like, oh, sweet Moses, please don't be Dusty.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah.
But the little Spanish guy that's like right next to him, like mutters something in Spanish, like
he says
he's like this guy is a god.
He says something along the lines of like, he is your superior in every way.
Yeah, and he was like, thank you for saying such kind words.
But he just looks over at him like, are you stupid?
But when he walks up and he was like, hey, Dusty, and he's like,
nope.
But the next day he takes Dusty to work with him. And just to show him, like, you know, hey, this is what I do. And I mean, in a way, to me, it's kind of odd because I have 2 children and, you know, me and my ex were separate or we're divorced and everything. And, you know, there have been other men that have come into her life and everything for extended periods of time. So it's like, you know, you want to know who's around your children. And that's what Brad is trying to do. Just be like, hey, well, why don't you come and see what I do for a living? And then maybe, I think he's kind of looking for that, you know, that respect thing to where it's like, you know, maybe you can respect me and give me your blessing to be able to watch your kids and know that they're taken care of. But then when Lou comes in and he was like, oh, he says something like, you know, did you get rid of that piece of shit ex-husband of hers or like whatever? And he was like, actually, this is...
I'd like to introduce you to Dusty.
Yeah, and he was like, Jesus, Mary, Joseph. He was like, this is your wife's ex?
It's like, if this was my wife's ex, I'd put a bullet in my skull.
But then later on when he's talking about it, he was like, Brad, he was like, even I'm pulling for Dusty to win this one. He's like, I'm trying to jump back on board Team Brad here. He's like, come on, help me out.
Winning team, yeah. But I like after he sees Dusty for the first time, he's like, all right, listen here, pretty boy. We're going to have to set some ground rules here. And that's when Dusty interjects with a whole airborne thing.
And he was like, your lapel pin, sir. He was like, airborne? 131st Division? He was like, yeah. I was. He was like, what, are you airborne? He's like, oh, no, never had the pleasure.
Afraid I don't share that honor, sir.
Yeah.
But I'm pleased to be in the company of anybody who does. But I like Brad's commentary because he's like, fast friends over there. Yeah. It's excellent.
I think one of the other parts that I love, and you and I talked about it on the phone a few times throughout the week, is just his Griff, Hannibal Buress's.
Yeah.
Griff's character in the movie. And Will Ferrell's like, oh, well, I'll move your motorcycle, Dusty. Why don't you just go back inside and put that shirt on? Because here's Mark Wahlberg walking around with his shirt off, and he's just like, oh, well, why don't you go get that shower so you can get that shirt on?
It's like, don't worry about it, Brad.
Yeah. He's like, I'll move that motorcycle. He's like, I don't know. It's a lot of
power.
It's a lot of machine for you there. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, no, I can handle it.
He's like, remember, 1 down, 4 up.
Yeah. But the bike takes off, almost hits Sarah and the kids, goes through the house, up the stairs, and then you don't hear really anything, or you hear it, but you don't see anything. Then it comes flying out through the window, lands on his Ford Flex, then lands on its wheels and starts rolling away.
Without a single scratch.
Yeah.
On it.
Dusty runs over, turns it off and everything, and then they're like, oh, is Brad dead? And he was like, we have to prepare ourselves for that possibility, sweetie.
Exactly.
So then they go up, and he's stuck in the drywall. Well, he gets him out of the drywall, and then when they're talking about it later, he's like, oh, yeah, no. He's like, we just need, a couple sheets of drywall, some compounds, nails, screws, we can knock this out tonight.
You got tools, right, Brad?
And he's like, yeah, I got to.
Yeah, they're in the credenza.
Yeah. So then he goes and looks at his tools. He has like a woman's hammer, a tape measure, I think that only reaches out to like 36 inches.
They didn't go into that. And the tampon.
Yeah, and a tampon. And then so they hired a handyman, and he was just like, what? He's like, I thought you said we could do it. And he was like, hey, you can't rebuild a wall with a tampon, Brad.
Well, this is when he built the treehouse.
Yeah.
That was later on. But the whole thing with Hannibal Buress is his wife, played by Linda Cardellini. So hot.
God, I love Linda Cardellini. This is not the first movie that we've done with her in it.
Nope. And won't be the last, I'm sure.
Not the first time that I've expressed my love for her either.
Of course not.
So, honey, just so you know, you ever make it over to the East Coast, hit me up.
Just saying. I will wingman for you. But Will Ferrell goes up because Dusty convinces him that they don't need a handyman. They can take care of it themselves. And he goes up and he sees Hannibal Buress. Comes across super pleasant, very nice guy. And Will Ferrell just feels wrong doing it.
He doesn't want to fire him because he's just like, he's an African-American.
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't fire a black man.
He's like, oh, hey. He's like, I'm the husband.
He's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, man.
I just wanted to, wish you luck or whatever.
It's like, oh, that's very polite.
He's like, thank you for the wishes of luck. I'll just be downstairs.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? I thought you were going to take care of it. He's like, no, I don't want to fire him. He's like, why? Because he's black? He's like,
no, it's not because of that. And then he was like, kids, come here. It's a
learning moment.
Yeah, it's a very important learning moment. He's like,
what is it called if somebody treats somebody differently because of the color of their skin?
Oh my God, Brad has racism.
Brad is being racism? He's like, no, it's Brad is racist.
He's like, I'm not racist.
So, yeah, that was definitely a good moment. But then he ends up staying at their house.
Yeah, because, and it's funny because it was Dusty's idea.
And it was Dusty's idea to fire him to begin with.
Yeah, but then he's sitting there and he was like, no, his wife threw him out because you fired him. It's like, he's not making any money, bringing anything home. And he was like, you told me to fire him. He's like, hey, whoa, Brad.
Do I live here? Am I paying your mortgage?
Yeah, he's like, come on. He was like, you're the man of the house. So, but I do like when he tried to approach Dusty to tell him, hey, it's good that you're back, and then you're trying to be in your kids' lives, but you can't stay at this house any longer. And they're watching Frozen, and you just see Dusty, and he's so involved in the movie, and he was like, Brad, have you seen this movie? He's like, there's a magical ice princess. He's like, this is amazing. He's like, yes,
I'm familiar with Frozen.
Yeah. And he was like, come on. He was like, Griff, you got to pause it if there's another song. And he was like, what?
I can't pause it.
I can't pause my emotions.
Yeah. He's like, I can't pause it. It's going to ruin the momentum.
He's like, just pause it for me.
He's like, well, at least pause it if the song, another song comes on. Like, am I supposed to pause my emotions, man? So Dusty gets up and he goes to talk to Brad, but he's still looking at the TV the whole time. He doesn't want to break.
No.
But this is when Dylan comes home, and he storms in because the fourth graders pushed him off his bike or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, stupid helmet.
And that's kind of has been the ongoing thing and that's what Dylan keeps saying. He was like, it's the fourth graders. The fourth graders are always teasing me, and the fourth graders are always picking on me. So you just assume
the guys, little boy, fourth grade boys.
Yeah. But then come to find out at the end, it's fourth grade girls. And, but his dad had told him, he was like, no, you pick out the biggest one. You got to call him out. He's like, and then you take that shot and knock him down. Then you really got to start.
You got to ridicule them for being a bitch.
But when Griff is out there and Dusty and Brad are role playing, he's like, all right, you and Griff, you attack me. So then, but when Dusty gets Brad down, he's like, oh my God. He's like, wow, I was so scared.
He's like, did I hit you? Did I make contact?
He's like, no. But he's like, but it was so close. And I got but then Griff's even like, yeah, stay down, bitch. And he's like, Griff, you're supposed to be on my team. He's like, hey man, mob rules.
He's like, once I saw him take you on, like I switched sides right away.
Yeah. It's like,
he's like, but then Sarah, Linda Cardellini's character, she's like, do you really have to use that word? She's like, yeah, you have to call a bully a bitch because you got to ridicule them for, you got to knock them down a peg.
Yeah.
There was another moment where Brad was trying to not confront Dusty. I think he was trying to make amends for a conversation that they had earlier, and he's in the garage doing push-ups. And
honestly, tell you the truth, that whole beginning of the scene has always irked me.
Why is that?
Because it's push-ups.
He calls them up-downs.
Yeah, he was like, wow, those are some impressive up-downs. Yep. It's like, Jesus, it's a push-up.
It's a push-up.
It is a push-up.
Nobody calls them up-downs.
No one calls them up-downs. The only person in the world that's allowed to call them up-downs is Chuck Norris. And I didn't see Chuck Norris in this movie at all, anywhere.
No.
Oh, I hate that scene. And I don't hate that scene. I mean, because it's a phenomenal scene. I mean, he's doing like the fingertip push-ups. And I mean,
he's doing it so effortlessly.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like they superimposed, like he was wearing a harness the whole time, and they just had to like green screen it out or something, and people were on the side.
I'm pretty
just
sure
pulling them up and down because it was
no
nothing.
Way. He did it so effortlessly, like I said.
And then when he jumps up and just starts doing the pull-ups, like. And then one arm pull-ups and one arm chin-ups and just spinning around.
He's like, no, I'm challenging you.
Yeah.
Like, this has to happen. Like, I'm trying to push you out of your home and take Sarah back. You know, this has to happen. But you said that we were friends and that you liked me.
We are, Brad, and I do like you.
I like you very much. It doesn't make it any easier for me.
But then when he gets down and they, like, hug, Brad's just like, you don't even have, like, a drop of sweat on you after doing all those push-ups. And he said it right the second time.
Yeah.
So I think that's what pisses me off about the first time when he says it.
Yeah.
This is like, you just said up-downs 5 minutes ago.
The word that he used, I've never heard anybody else use that word, like in a movie, I don't think. But he says, you're not even sweating, even after doing all those push-ups. He's like, exemplary. Yeah. But when he tells him, dude, he's just like, I'm so confused right now. My head is spinning.
I do like the scene right after Dusty when they meet at the airport and he just walks by and he's like, nope. And then he gets home and he walks up and he sees Dusty through the window and he was like, oh. And then Linda Cardellini comes out and she was like, where have you been? He was like, well,
I called you 100 times.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, my phone died. But then when he sees it, he's like, that's Dusty? He was like, yeah, he just walked right by me at the airport. And he's like, I am a hot habanero pepper right now.
Yeah, he says, God damn it. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Just a
hot habanero pepper
I'm just
right
a hot
now.
habanero pepper right now.
But yeah, so he walks in and he's like, so you are Dusty.
He was like, look, I saw you before you saw me, friend. And I just like it because he's so polite throughout the entire thing.
He tried to play it off at first, though, which makes it even funnier. He's like, yeah, pleasure to meet your acquaintance, sir,
He's
or whatever.
Like, oh, we
He's
already
like,
met?
we already met.
He's like, I don't recall that, friend.
No, I'm pretty sure I would have recognized a straight shooter like yourself. He's like, you're the real deal. He's blowing smoke up his ass the entire time.
Oh, it's so the way. I mean, they're dynamic. I mean, I didn't look up any time frame on this to see because I don't know which one came first. Was it the other guys or was it
this
Daddy's Home?
This came out in 2015.
And I can't remember when the other guys came out. I don't know if that was 2016 or like 2012. But but their dynamic is just anything I've ever seen them in together has just been so perfect. So, and it's no exception to this movie.
The other guys came out in 2010, so
okay,
they had already established their on-film chemistry.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But and even doing this one, like I can't wait to do the next one, like Daddy's Home 2.
Yes.
Which will be, months down the road because I'm pretty sure it's a Christmas movie. So, everyone, you'll just have to wait in the wings for that one.
Yeah, but honestly, this was one of the movies that had a sweet sequel that was just as good, if not better, than the original.
Right, and to me, like, I've talked about this with a lot of people. I think you and I have even had this discussion where it's like, it's very rare that you have an original movie and then they come out with the sequel that's just as good, if not better. And then people are always like, they say things like, oh, what about The Godfather or Star Wars? And it's like, those are like trilogies and franchises. So it's not like, oh, hey, we did, Beverly Hills Cop and then Beverly Hills Cop 2. Beverly Hills Cop is going to be, that by far is my favorite out of all of them. And then the second one, it was still good, but it's just kind of like one of those things where you're like, a little far-fetched.
Like maybe it seemed a little forced.
Yeah. He went there in the first one because his friend got shot and killed in Detroit. So he went to L.A. because that's where he tracked the killers back to. But then in the second one, it's like an L.A. police officer gets gunned down. He's going to survive, but gets gunned down, and he was like, the only person in the world that can help with this investigation is me, a Detroit detective. It's like, it's not really believable.
Nah.
I can understand that you want to do it for a friend, yeah, but Daddy's Home 2, I think, is equally as good as the first one. What would have made it better and stepped it over the top is if Lou...
If Lou had made an appearance.
Yeah, made a brief cameo in it.
I would have liked that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been good. And we won't get into details on Daddy's Home 2. We'll save that for when we do that episode. But there were a couple moments that stand out for me when Dusty wants to tell their kids, or his kid, or both of their kids, I should say, bedtime story.
Yeah.
And what he does is... he tells the story about what's going on with this situation. He's calling himself the king, and he's calling Brad the step king. Of course, he doesn't use names when he's telling the stories, but he's trying to make the kids dislike Brad.
Right.
And it's funny because every time he's telling a story, Brad always comes into the room and he's like,
hey,
interjecting.
We telling stories?
He's like, spinning quite the yarn here. Like, who talks like this, man? He uses phrases that nobody ever says.
I know.
Like, he sounds like an old man. You spinning the yarn, are you? Jeez, oh gosh. But, so there's that. And then there was I think it was the second time, Brad gets heated in the middle of telling the story. And it's like, but he parried all of them easily. Like, without any issue or whatever. He's like, But then whatever the Step King was telling all the kids is like absolute bullshit. And he's like, Brad, do you have to with the language? He's like, can I speak to you out in the hallway a second? And then Brad is like, the Step King apologizes for using profane language or whatever. And Dusty's like, why are you talking like that? We're out in the hallway.
Yeah.
He calls him out on that. I thought that was pretty funny.
And I mean, there are a bunch of, there's a ton of funny scenes in this. I think one of the ones with another scene with Lou is after they go to the basketball game and Brad gets incredibly drunk at the basketball game. He's the one that gets picked for the half-court basketball shot. And he goes to go for the shot and just pelts this cheerleader right in the side of the face. Immediately knocks her down, and then he's like, do over. So he's trying again and throws it up in the air. And before the game had started, they were like, oh, well, here's our, I can't remember, it was like the wellness kids or something like that, but it was all kids that had like some type of cancer or something. And he was like, whoa, you're all miracles. We love you.
All right, just calm down there, Brad.
Yeah, but then pelts one of the kids in the face.
The second ball that he gets, yeah.
And then, even that scene there is enough to be like, because Brad he was like, oh, I could only get these seats together. He's like, sorry, Dusty, but your seat is over there on that side of the aisle next to that gentleman. So when he's talking about that, and then the trainer sees Dusty, and he's like, Dusty, what are you doing? He was like, oh, hey, man. He was like, yeah. No, he's like, wow, I see you're doing this. And he was like, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it if you didn't train me to be a trainer. So he was like, yeah, these are my kids up here, Dylan, Megan. He's like, he's the biggest Kobe fan in the world. And he's like, oh, you want to come down here? Meet him? So they go down, and it's just like one of those things where you're like, finally, Dusty gets his comeuppance. But it backfires. And then when Sarah comes up and she was like, come on, Brad, let's just go sit down there. And he was like, no. He's like, a scalper gouged these seats for $18,000. And then she was like, what? And he was like, yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. I just got a lot going on. He was like, yeah, let's just go down there. And she was like, oh, no, I don't think so. Which would be any wife in the world. That would be like, no, you sit up here in your $18,000 seats and think of all the great things you could have done for your family aside from this.
With that money.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing that brings this basketball game up is because after he realizes that Dusty's not going to back down,
no,
he's like, I'm going to do everything to show him how much I actually do for these kids.
Right.
So he shows him like the car line that he has to deal with. He volunteers like telling kids stories at the church.
Yeah.
He this and that, and
helps coach basketball teams.
Yeah. He does a lot for these kids. Like
taking them to swim lessons, taking them to play dates. Everything. He does everything for these kids. He does everything because he loves these kids. He loves his wife,
and he wanted more than anything to be a dad.
Yeah,
to kids, but
due to a dental X-ray accident.
Oh, you know what? Did you see who it was?
No.
The guy at the dental office?
I didn't.
Scotty P, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa. No, I didn't pay attention.
Yeah. He's got the same douchey haircut and everything.
Man. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that next time. Yeah,
because when you're getting your teeth x-rayed and they put that plastic ring in your mouth so they can line up the x-ray machine to it. So as soon as he walks away, he goes over to the back side of the counter, so he's not exposed to radiation. Yeah, and he's on his phone. He's like, and the thing goes down, and it's actually aiming right at his crotch. And he's like, dude, your tongue looks really weird. You need to floss more. It's so stupid.
It is.
How the hell did this guy get this job? One of my favorite scenes is actually at the very beginning of the movie. Initially, Brad's telling his narration, just talking about how much, what's the difference between a father and a dad, and how much he actually wanted to be a dad. He's like, and actually, I'm really great at it. And then you find out that he's actually the stepdad. He's not the real dad or anything like that. But then he goes into details, and I really enjoy this Ford Flex.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a smooth ride. It's got plenty of room for all the family, and it didn't break the bank. It's like irrelevant points.
It is.
Completely irrelevant. But he's in the kitchen making breakfast for the kids who are getting ready to go to school and everything. And Dylan walks by, and he just shuns Brad for whatever reason. And then the little girl, I think Megan is her name, she's like, hey, Brad, like I drew you a picture or whatever. Can you put this on the refrigerator?
He's like, oh, wow, another family portrait?
She's like, yeah, here's me, here's mommy, and then here's Dylan. And then all over here, all the way by himself, is you.
And then I like it when he was like, oh, I love the way you captured my hair.
That's poop.
I was like, oh. He was like, well, hopefully it's just dog poop.
It's homeless man poop. But before that, she's like, am I wearing a baseball cap? No, that's the knife from when I was killing you in the eye.
Yeah.
She's like, well, it's drawn very well.
Yeah. So then, but when he talks to Sarah, he's like, oh, look, another. And then Sarah's like, oh, I'm so sorry about this. And he was like, no.
You misunderstand.
Yeah, you misunderstand. He was like, this is the first one that she's ever drawn where I'm not already dead. It's like, this is real progress.
You really see the bright side in everything. I admire that about you. Another scene that stands out to me is they go to see the doctor about reproduction and everything. Yeah. And it's funny because when Dusty is telling him, he wants to help him out, I'm sure he has other reasons for doing this, or maybe he actually did at that time truly want to help Brad because he finds out that he can't reproduce.
Yeah, well, no, what his whole take was that if they go and see this Dr. Francisco,
it'll confirm
that Brad cannot have children. So her only logical choice would be, well, let me get back with Dusty because we already have 2 kids. So he can knock me up.
Right.
Yet again. And then, I think his whole thing was, yeah, I can knock her up. She'll fall in love with me. It'll be great.
The way that he brings it up, though, is kind of odd because he makes it sound like, oh, I'll put a baby in her for you.
Yeah.
Like the phrasing was weird, but he's like, no, I got a guy.
Yeah.
Like, what?
But
and then he says the name, and then
she was like,
Sarah,
oh my God. She's like, oh my God. She's like, that Dr. Francisco? She was like, he's been on Dr. Oz like
10
11 times
or something. But what's funny is Griff is on the couch watching TV, and he turns around, and he's like, yeah, he's the number 5 reproductive endocrinologist in the country. Like, how the fuck do you know this?
So when he's talking about it, or they start talking about it, and she's like, oh, and he was like, okay, but we can't get our hopes up.
Don't get your hopes up.
And she was like,
I feel like you've already gotten your hopes up.
She was like, no. She was like, where's my phone? I got to call my mom. And he was like, see, no. He's like,
you can't tell your mom.
You can't tell your mom. She's like, no, I'm calling her for something totally unrelated.
Yeah, bullshit. But the scene at the doctor's office is pretty funny, because, he sees Dusty right away.
Yeah.
And he just admires Dusty. He's like crazy. He's like, they met. He's like, doing Iron Man or whatever.
Yeah, no, he's like, I trained him for his first Iron Man.
He's like, yeah, and I just had my last one. I got it to 1140 or whatever.
He's like, when this some bitch here laps me.
He's like, yeah. The first time we did it, he's like, I finished. I'm struggling and I'm dying, and then this guy laps me. He's like, who finishes an Iron Man and goes back for another round? And then Brad is like, that sounds exhausting. But when he introduces the doctor to Sarah and Brad, he introduces Sarah first, and he's like, oh, so this is the one you were talking about. He's like, very nice. But he says it all creepy.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Keep it in your pants, guy. But then he introduces Brad. Oh, Chief Glowing Nuts. Or whatever. He's like, no, I'm just teasing with you. He's like, come give me a hug. Whatever.
Well, then when he was talking, he was like, oh, and he's like feeling around in the undercarriage, and he was like, Sarah, come here, put your hand here. And he was like, you feel that? And she was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, you don't want him to feel like that.
That is not how testicles are supposed to feel.
And she was like, oh, and he was like, yeah. He's like, hey, Dusty, come in here for a minute. And he's like, what, you got to do this to me every time?
Why is he coming in here?
Yeah. And then
Sarah, like, he goes to drop down his pants, and Sarah's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then she gulps.
And he's like, did you just gulp? She's like, no. What? And he's like, hey, don't worry. I gulp every time.
That's what she said.
And then he was like, hey, Dusty, you want to break your own record? Because they were talking about getting a semen samples. Yeah. And then he was like, well, if I'm going to break the record, and he pulls up like a tall glass from a water cooler.
It was like one of the big clear solo cups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, well, if I'm going to break my record.
Because at first he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I really shouldn't. He's like, I don't, that's not why I'm here. I'm just here to help them out or whatever. And he's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
He's like, you got to break the record. And so he goes to hand him one of the regular sized sample cups.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, if I'm going to break the record, I got to break the record. He's like, Dusty.
Yeah. But then I like, when Brad, he was like, should I get one of the big cups too? And he was like, come on. He was like,
quit messing around, man.
Yeah, quit messing around, man. You're burning daylight.
Jesus, like complete shit.
Yeah.
But when they go back to get the results, though, Dusty intentionally sits in between them and then holds both of his hands. And it's like the only reason he's doing it is so he can hold Sarah's hand.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But then when he starts talking, he was like, Sarah, I'm terribly sorry. He's like, from all the pounding away that Brad's going to have to do to you to try and knock you up. And she's like,
because he's actually got a fighting chance.
Yeah, and everyone's like, what? And then, that's when Dusty...
He's like, but I thought he had the deformed nuts.
Yeah, he's got the deformed nuts, and he was like, actually, he's got you to thank for that, Dusty. He was like, normally when another alpha male comes in, he was like, the other male will start producing more testosterone. He's like, so in this case, he's like, you actually instigated all this.
Yeah. Couple of other funny scenes, like with Griff, for instance. You got the scene where Brad is talking to Dusty in the garage, and then Griff comes in out of nowhere. He's like, hey, Brad, you got any sweet potatoes or yams or anything like that?
Yeah, and he was like, Griff, you know that we have yams. You made me buy them for you.
Yeah, but I'm not just going to go grab some yams or whatever. He's like, it's your house. I don't live here. He's like, just go get the yams. I'm dealing with something right now. He's like, all right.
I do like when they built the tree house with the zip line and everything. He's like, oh, yeah, that's military grade. But
I don't like what bothers me, and I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry. But the zip line goes straight into the fence.
It does.
It was poorly thought out.
I think the scene when they also had a half pipe.
Yes.
And Dusty's like, oh, well, here, let me show you kids how to do it. So he's like doing the half pipe, and then that's when Brad's like, oh, you picked the wrong sport. He's like, I'm about to show you up, Brad. So he goes from the roof down onto the half pipe. But I can't remember exactly
because you don't know
how he words it, because he was like, oh, I'm bringing it back old school. The empty pools of San Bernardino, Palo Alto, Encino. He's like, let me show you how it's really done.
Fremont.
Yeah.
He's just naming all these random cities.
So he shoots down the roof and hits the half pipe, goes up straight into an electrical wire and falls and lands. But then Dusty's like, all right, this is a learning opportunity.
Another teaching moment here. All right, so two things about that scene that also bothered me. So, speaking from a physics perspective, and I'm no physics major here. I'm quite the opposite. I'm pretty basic.
Yeah.
But the trajectory of Brad jumping off the roof into the half pipe would not have projected him off the other side into that power line. He did not have enough force to do that. And two, if he hit that power line, if he's not touching anything else, if he's not grounded, he would not have been electrocuted. So it's two inconsistencies right there. And I know they did it for comic effect, but it's just, come on.
I mean, I've also learned that from Tango and Cash.
Mm-hmm.
When they jump from the rooftop to the electrical wire, and Sylvester Stallone, Kurt Russell's like, yeah, just jump onto that electrical wire, and then we'll just zip line across over the fence, and we're gone. And he was like, we're going to fry. And he was like, you don't know anything about electricity, do you? He was like, no. And he was like, well, as long as both hands are touching the wire and you're not touching the ground, you won't get electrocuted.
Right.
And he was like, right? He's like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, me either.
So, somebody just got electrocuted. What's the first thing that we do?
He's like, what was it? Call 911?
He's like, all right, close, good answer, redhead or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, but not quite it.
He was like,
and then Dylan says,
no. He just tells everyone, it's like, the first thing to do is just remain calm.
And then Griff is up in the treehouse. He's like, that's actually really good advice. That's what he does throughout the whole movie. He just chimes in with these little quips. What's the second thing that you did?
Yeah. And then that's when his daughter's like, check for a pulse? And he was like, my star pupil, get up here. But when he's talking about, remaining calm, he was like, no. He's like, because the 911 operators, I can be able to understand you if you're in hysterics.
That's right. And that's when Sarah says, well, what are you supposed to do? You can't just leave him
see,
laying
Sarah,
here.
you're not remaining calm.
That was rule number 1. Yeah. He's like, I need you to call 911 and calmly explain to them what just happened.
I think the other scene that I like with Griff, well, I mean, because Griff he's barely in the movie, but the other scene is when after the basketball game and you see Will Ferrell packing up his stuff and putting it in his car and he drives off, and Dusty puts his arm around Sarah and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm consoling you. And she's like, and he was like, oh yeah, and I know, too soon. He was like, but come on. So he's going inside and she was like, what are you doing? He's like, what? I was coming in.
You're going through a difficult time right now.
A difficult time.
You can't go through this alone.
Yeah. And then she was like, no, I don't think so.
You're not staying here.
Yeah. So, and it's finally like, she was the one that put everything down. And, he's like, well, can I at least come in and get my stuff? And she was like, no. And then slams the door in his face. And you just hear him on the other side of the door. He's like, well, I'm just going to wait out here for a while.
In case you change your mind. But then the door opens and you think she changed his mind. And then, no, here comes Griff with a bowl of cereal.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, what'd you throw Griff out for?
It's like, man, this house is chaotic. There's always some bullshit going on in here.
He's like, you want to go over to Red Roof Inn?
He's like, sure, let's go.
Oh, no, he tells me, he was like, you want? Oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go. And he's like, what was that, Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Yes, sir. The way he says it is so funny.
But then at the end, right before the credits roll and everything, and you find out that Dusty has built his own mansion off of the money he made from the 106. The 0.3.
103.6, the pager. The residuals from just doing the tagline.
Yeah, it's like $187.33 or something like that.
Some random amount, yeah.
Yeah. And then, but he's talking about everything, but it shows them all together. And there's like at Thanksgiving or maybe even just a Sunday dinner or something together where they're all there as a family, and you meet Dusty's new wife with his new stepdaughter, and Griff is there for some reason, and he's holding Brad and Sarah's newborn baby,
Griff,
named Griff. And you just see Will Ferrell, and he's like, hey, you want to come to daddy? And then
he's like, what, you think I'm going to pick his pocket or something, man? Like, he doesn't even have a wallet.
He's a baby. He ain't got no wallet.
You don't have a beard.
So I think it's little things like that. But
the other scene with Griff, it's always something with food.
Yeah.
Because he's got the refrigerator open, and they're having another serious conversation, and Griff is like, hey, you got any Miracle Whip? And then Brad is about to tell him, he's like, you know what? Let me just get it for you. Yeah. So irritated. Trying to think of some other scenes before we.
I mean, really, see, this movie here, I think, is one where it's like, I'm glad we haven't gone into too much detail on it because, I mean, it's such a great movie that. I mean, we could spend days talking about this.
Yeah, I mean...
And probably not even scratch the surface of how funny this movie is.
Great dialogue, great physical comedy.
Yeah.
A great mix of both. And it's got heart, too. So that's the other thing that I really appreciate about this one.
Yeah. And then at the very end, right before the credits, and you meet... You meet
Megan's... Or no, I'm sorry, not Megan. You're talking about Brad's new wife, Giselle, I think? Dusty's new wife. I think her name is Giselle, and John Cena plays Roger, her ex-husband.
Well, I mean, because she's a ex-Victoria's Secret model, and I can't remember her real name. I mean, which I can't believe I can't remember her real name because she was my favorite Victoria's Secret model of the day. When she used to model. But I'm saying then, you have Linda Cardellini, and she was like, oh, and Giselle, Dusty's new wife, she was like, she's just so perfect in every way. She's a doctor and a published author and everything. And she was like, wow. And I'm surprised to learn that we're the same age.
You can't even tell, can you?
Yeah.
She looks so much younger than me.
But then when it pans to her and she, she's all dolled up for dinner. And then Brad's like, "Oh, honey, you look incredibly beautiful tonight." And she was like, "Oh, what? This old thing is just my regular clothes."
Yeah.
But then Dusty starts talking about it, and then he starts talking, and then she's, he's talking to his stepdaughter, and he was like, "Oh, honey, be careful with that fork. I don't want you to get hurt." And she's like,
"You're not my dad."
And then he just looks at Brad, and Brad's like, "Mm-hmm." But then when they go back to Dusty, and he was like, "Oh yeah," he goes, "And you know what? Brad was surprisingly right about this Ford Flex." He was like, "Not only is it good on economy, but it's great on gas." He's like, "And it's fun for the family." He's like,
I got the Weekender package, which comes with a little more bells and whistles, but Brad doesn't have to know that.
Yeah. And then you hear the motorcycle rev up, and that's when Dusty's stepdaughter's like, "Daddy," and he turns around, he's like, "Oh, honey, I've been waiting for so long to hear." And then she runs right past him, and that's when you see this tree with arms pull up, and it's the motorcycle, and he's got the helmet on, takes the helmet off, and it's John Cena. But I love Brad because he's like, "Did you just gulp?" And he was like, "No, I didn't gulp." And he was like, "Well, it sounded like a gulp." And he was like, "All right, maybe a little." And he was like, "God, look at this guy.
He's got legs for arms." He's way bigger than you, Brad.
But as he comes
I
up,
like him.
Yeah. But as he comes up, and he's just like, "Oh, you must be Roger." And he's like, "Nope."
Two honorable mentions before we wrap up. And the one of them for me is when they come home from the radio station after Brad had recorded the tagline. So that scene itself is actually pretty funny. Because Dusty records the tagline. I'm sorry, I keep screwing up his name. 3 other guys had come in to try out, to audition, to do it, and none of them were any good at all. And then Dusty just off the cuff just sings the tagline how he thinks it might sound decent. And I want to say Michael McDonald probably actually recorded that. It sounds just like Michail McDonald's voice.
It does.
So there's that, but the way that Leo reacts to it, he stops in his tracks. He's like, what just happened? And then Brad's like, he recorded the tagline, or he sang the tagline. Like, it just, Leo's just in utter awe.
Yeah.
He looks over at Brad, and this is the dynamic that I was talking about earlier between Brad and Leo. It's like they have this mutual respect, even though they have this witty banter that goes back and forth throughout the entire movie. But Brad and Dusty come home, and right as they're pulling into the driveway, Sarah and the kids are running out to the car, and he turns up the volume on the radio. He's like, "Kids, listen to this real quick." And it's him singing the tagline. He's like, and they're like, "Is that you?" He's like, "Yeah." And then Sarah's like, "Why is that you?" And they're getting out of the car. It's like 9 o'clock. I come in, and next thing you know, I'm the voice of the panda. And he's like, "Do I really get $182 every time this plays?" He's like, "Yes."
He's like, "Wow." He's like, "Because just on the drive home, I heard it 11 times.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's the scene after Sarah kicks him out of the house for acting like an idiot, a drunk moron at the basketball game, and he's been staying at the office. So Leo comes into Brad's office to confront him about it. He's like, "Brad, have you been living here for the past few days?"
He's like, "No."
He's like, "Well, then what's with the
blankets on the couch?
The blankets on the couch, the hot plate, and the BO." He's like, "I defecated in the wastebasket." But it's like, why? There's a bathroom in here.
There's got to be a bathroom somewhere in the building.
And then
it's not like people are just going back to their office to shit in their garbage can.
Exactly. But Leo had that other story. He's like, this is like the time I peed in front of the door in the office hallway, or whatever. He's like, "Yeah, it was actually a health hazard." He's like, "Scared the FedEx guy." He's like, "That's what you need to do." He's like, "Pee outside of the door that Dusty is sleeping."
Yep.
He's like, "Establish dominance." All right, that's it. Yep. I'm done. I'm not going to keep it going because I could.
Yeah.
But this was a fun one. I've been anticipating this for a while, so I'm glad that it came to fruition.
I know, it's such a great movie, and I mean, this is a one that I really feel like, because you and I have talked about this before on previous episodes where we talked about it, and it's like, there are some movies that we've done and then I've never watched again, and I'm pretty sure that you've probably never watched them again, but I could probably watch this one.
No, I could definitely watch this one again. I watched it like 10 times this past week trying to prepare for it. Still fucked it up, but it's fine. It's fine. But no, this was great. So I guess without further ado, until next time,
Quotable Podcast out. Holy shit, that would have been so uplifting.
Holy buckets, Brad.